Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Terror. As usual, I'm your host, Jacob Harper,
And I'm your co-host Arianee.
and today we are joined by a very special guest, director Rod Blackhurst, director of Dolly, one of my favorite horror films of the year so far. It was my favorite festival watch of last year, and it is now one of my favorite horror films of this year. So it's on two lists. It's making waves on my personal letterboxd, and I know a lot of other horror fans letterboxd. Thanks for joining us, Rod.
Well, th thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind words, and thank you for being I don't know, being down to talk about Dolly or well, whatever, anything and everything.
Yeah, of course, and we will be getting into anything and everything. I assure you. Um, I guess to start, what was kind of because I know Dolly was originally the baby girl short film, and you see a lot of filmmakers going from a short and then morphing that into a feature down the line. So I'm curious, what was the timeline between making the short and to making the feature, and what that process looked like for you?
Sure. So we actually, what is the baby girl proof of concept is or short was actually something I made after we'd written the script. The movie was originally called Baby Girl. Um, and so in 2021. I asked a writer named Brandon Weevil, who we had met through the internet. Brandon had fallen into our lap as somebody who was trying to find their way in the world as a writer who had always been dismissed and overlooked and had sent hundreds and hundreds of queries to filmmakers, producers, production companies, like just trying to find a way to, share their writing and share their talents. And he had sent my producing partner, who I run our studio Witchcraft with, he had sent Noah some incredible writing samples. I think this was probably like 2019 and or maybe 2020. And and so they were awesome. And Brandon, we became friends and we started hearing about all of his ideas. And then one day I was like getting on a plane in 2021 here in Nashville. And it was like, I'll never forget. It was like I was in a window seat. It was rainy. And I'd been having this idea for a long, long time. And I just started texting Brandon and said, dude, here's what I'd like to do. Like, you're an incredible writer. Like, let's just brainstorm on this and write it together. And that I think was early 2021. And I actually like around Fantastic Fest where you saw the film was very kind like to w watch movies that are coming out at the festival level and to and then to say kind things about them. But around that time, I made an Instagram post about Brandon. And that had screenshots of the first couple of text message exchanges in that series. And eventually, like we're actively working on getting all of those things out there. And I think that like, it to me was like both a proof of that like creativity and great ideas and great collaboration can start anywhere. But um, a- beyond that idea and that inception of this project, as a filmmaker and as a producer and as an entrepreneur, the best thing you can do more than write a script, and because a lot of people can write a great script, and a lot of people can write a great pitch deck, and a lot of people can write a great business plan, but sometimes the thing that might really unlock the next step is showing people what you see. So we just decided in Nashville to make a very small 1 day proof of concept. And again, it's like a poor man's version or a poor person's version of Dolly. Well, again, then it was called Baby Girl. So, but what you see in the proof of concept, which is available on Tubi and AVOD everywhere as a part of like a witchcraft anthology that we released, you can get a sense of the tone. You get a sense of these two characters. You get some, the poor person's version of Dolly, but you get some of the oddities and the unusualness about this. You get and it's what makes it to me wonderful too, as a time capsule of where we were in our life, is that my friend Russ Tiller, who is the man in Baby Girl, he became Billy the Park Ranger in Dolly, and but prior to that, I cast him in my film Blood for Dust. But Russ was just the ex-fiance of the woman who cut my hair, and one day she mentioned to me while she was cutting my hair that, hey, my partner used to act a lot and he's really good. she was totally right. He was incredible, and we've become very good friends. And he lives right down the road from me now. Um, my producing partner Ross on Dolly, and then in generally in a lot of other projects, played Dolly in that version of it. In the Baby Girl short or the Baby Girl proof of concept. My friend Dave Ogle, who's a cinematographer here in Nashville, shot it and then is the guy at the end of it exploring the house. And Dave actually is the second unit cinematographer of Dolly. And so it was like really just us going down to my friend's land and going, again, how can we bring this to life in a way that will show somebody what we're trying to do and just have it be moving images as opposed to words or still images or a business plan. Yeah, and then of course once Nicole Kidman makes an A24 film named Baby Girl, you're gonna lose out on all your SEO like visibility and internet visibility because Nicole that's now Nicole Kidman's title. But the best part about the Baby Girl proof of concept is that it will forever live online and this story will forever be there because we made that proof of concept then. We can always claim in the MySpace way of doing things first. We were first to the title. So not that it matters, but just a fun piece of like Dolly mythology right now.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, if it helps, I prefer this baby girl over the Nicole Kidman one. I love Nicole Kidman, but I prefer this one, I think. um,
That's
but
great.
no, I love hearing that though about like, because I'm a filmmaker myself, and I like there's always those little like magic connections when making stuff like this. Like you said, like, just a friend of a friend just comes in and you're like, oh my God, this person's a fantastic actor. Let's make some magic here. So just hearing that whole like backstory for it is just like it's perfect.
Dude, I mean, I think there's every it's interesting. Like filmmaking to me is an iceberg. I mean, gosh, the metaphor is like actually right as I'm talking about I mean the metaphor in the sense that there's so much below the surface that people don't see. But also, right as I said it out loud, I'm thinking I'm sure there's going to be someone out there who's like, oh yeah, filmmaking is like an iceberg. It's like your giant ship is headed towards like imminent demise and a sinking vessel that you cannot get off of. And I'm going, that's way too dark and bleak for me. But what I mean by that is filmmaking is an iceberg is that like there's so much that everybody cannot see and not know about relative to what exists. And it is so hard to make a movie and so many different things have to come together and you have to you work for years and years and years. I mean, look at Dolly started in 2021, but was a response to the professional frustrations I had had in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, and going, I need to solve those. Well, it took me almost, 12, 13 years later or 10 years later to start solving those. And so that's the iceberg of filmmaking is that like there's so much more going into it. And usually, if, I think most filmmakers would say that like there's yeah, they kind of most filmmakers would say that they wish that other people knew and understood like how it happens or how it works because the reality is very different, I think, than the way um, people see it and the way the haters see it or the way the critics see it or whatever that might be. So anyway, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, you're talking about, the process of filmmaking. Like the only way to really like experience that is to do it. I mean, I feel like so when you say like putting into different perspectives, like from the haters to the critics, and even like it's weird. I'm both a film critic and a filmmaker, so it's like when I'm critiquing a movie, I'm like, I know that was a pain in the ass to make, but so it's like you got to
yeah,
just know what goes into it, and
yeah,
no matter what, no matter the quality, movies are miracles. That's like the
yeah.
phrase, right? That all movies are miracles, no matter what. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
I mean, I
absolutely.
think like, and this is more like there's something I think about often here, which is like how in so many other mediums, I mean, really like the fine art medium, and I know we're here to talk movies, but like I think about this with the fine art medium, with things that are in museums, sculptures, paintings, um, anything that is probably not literature, photography, movies, or music, right? Something that is more of an exhibition experience like that. Um, is that all those things are shown with white cards next to them that offer the lens through which to understand the work, right? The artist's statement and the reason why they did what they did is as important as the work itself. These two things are they exist together, right? And even then, when a painting becomes talked about, like let's say someone's talking about the Mona Lisa online, the Mona Lisa is only understood through the lens of the history and the artist and the reasons why they did it. And so I think that, like, in my experience, what gets lost in film, or at least in film criticism, and this is like, is again, not to go off track, but like, just to wrap this thought up, is like, is that there people like look at something for what it is and what it is doing and whether or not it does that well, not what you might like it to be. I have people all the time that over the entire span of my career have been critical, and I say, politely, well, how would you do this differently? And they go, well, I'm not a filmmaker. I would, and I was like, well, then it's a moot point because you don't know like why the realities of why we've done what we've done, right? Like time and money are two huge variables and two like massive guardrails that affect why you're able to do something. Time, money, connections, like whether or not you know famous people, like, and so I think it's like all of that is a part of the filmmaking process and then the work itself. I'm
I
rambling.
no, no. I mean, no.
Sorry,
Please,
Jacob.
please do ramble. I mean, that was great. I totally agree. Um, yeah, no, I totally agree. Ari's window popped up for me. I thought she was about to say something. That's why I paused.
It was one giggle and I appreciate it.
Oh, but go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, okay. Well, like, on the filmmaking process and, getting Dolly shot and like creative choices, one creative choice among many that I absolutely adore um, is the 16 millimeter film, the use of that because I'm such a nerd. First off, I'm such a nerd for like 70s era like grindhouse horror, and I'm gonna go on a whole like nerd charged rant later on in the interview about this, but I'm especially a huge super nerd for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the homage to that film bleeds off the screen. But that's gonna be down the line. I'll spare you all that for right now. But with 60 millimeter, what was maybe like what was the biggest obstacle in shooting on 16 millimeter?
Yeah, so I mean, film is not cheap. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, film is not cheap.
Mm.
But it's not insurmountable. I years ago I'd shot a bunch of I'd actually like I was a cinematographer on a bunch of documentaries that had shot in 16 millimeter. This is probably 25 23 22 years ago. And so like and even Justin Derry, my cinematographer on Dolly and who shot Blood for Dust as well, has made a lot of 16 millimeter and 35 millimeter work over the years. Um, the so it was not we were not foreign to it. We were not like unexposed, no pun intended, to shooting on film. But the two biggest challenges were this is when you're shooting film, because it costs every frame that goes through the gate costs money. We have no extra footage. Like there are literally two shots that don't exist in the movie from what we shot. Um, there is a different post-credit scene that we decided not to use, but it's a shot. It's one shot. And then there are some like we shot some dolls on blue screen like to create plates. We thought we were going to use them for something else in the movie, and we didn't use them. So there's no heads, no tails. So and as a result, like there's not a lot of flexibility that you can find in an edit when we aren't shooting masters all the way through. Like normally when you shoot a scene, or at least sorry, I say normally, like I don't know how anybody else does it, but the way I will often shoot is, we want to discover how everything works in a long master. We shoot a wide master of the whole scene and we watch well, we watched it in rehearsal how actors move and the blocking, and we learned a lot. But it's still really great and helpful to shoot that in digital. But in this film, like every shot would only begin where we knew in the edit we would begin using it. Does that make sense? So like
Mhm.
the orchestrate, the cut was by and large like done on paper in advance during our shot listing. So it just makes it so that you don't have a lot of flexibility later in post. And not that we needed more flexibility, you just are like really kind of pinned in. You know, you have this is what you have. The second thing is like normally um, when I'm making a movie, I like to have an assembly edit going on set that's 1 day behind. So usually that assembly edit by the next day you can learn if you're missing something, right? Or if you need to solve something, you know, relative to what you've captured thus far, and there's still time. On this, you know, we were probably like 3 to 5 days from shipping the drive out, shipping the footage out, you know, getting it processed, transferred, getting it downloaded, getting it synced up, and then having an editor cut it. And so that was a little hard, you know, like, you know, just from a process standpoint. I mean, just working differently. Because certainly by the end of week 4, we shot for 20 days. But by the end of week 4, we had Isaiah Smallman, one of my producing partners in this, had been doing the assembly upstairs in the warehouse we were in, and we had a good sense of what we had, right? There wasn't much that we was missing, right? That we were like, oh yeah, we have the movie. But it was like nerve-wracking in the beginning, right? Because for the first 2 weeks we were so far behind in that process that I'd been traditionally like how I work traditionally that it was a little stressful. But you know, we overcame. You know? But yeah, those were the two biggest challenges of shooting on film, for me at least.
Pretty cool. You got. I mean, like you said, you stepped out of your comfort zone with the assembly line, and you still got it done, and it looked fucking awesome. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
It did.
thank you.
yeah.
Like, I would like to get more into like Dolly's design. So like, how did you land on? Because like it's like a vintage, mother look, and then, the mask looks amazing. Was it like a 100% porcelain mask as well?
Oh, so this is like so. No, the mask is not porcelain. It sounds porcelain. The mask is actually um, it is, we did a 3D scan of Max the Impaler. And then the mask, the inside of the mask was designed to fit Max perfectly. Um, and the mask, though, is a mix of, you know, it's like very hard rubber or silicone. It is a
Oh,
little pliable, right? Because it has, but it is a helmet. Like Max would joke about it like that, like a helmet. And you know, they couldn't breathe very well in it. They couldn't hear very well. You know, basically all of their oxygen was coming through that one, that one cracked eye hole. And also on top of the mask, there was a cowl that Dan Martin from 13 Finger FX in the UK had made. You know, Dan had fabricated the mask and designed this silicone part that was like basically like a collar, or it was a cowl, but it was like it created the flesh look that the mask over time had been digging into Dolly's neck, and you know, created this like raggedy bloodline. So Max both couldn't breathe inside of the mask, could barely hear us, and it was incredibly hot, and we were outside in the woods in Middle Tennessee in the dead of summer, and it was brutal. And we've promised Max, and I've promised Max, that we will figure out a ventilation system and a way to communicate. So yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
But like yeah, I'm trying to think like, I don't know if I answered your question fully, but like, yeah, the mask was not porcelain, but it sounds it and it looks it. It's like, I mean, the patina on the mask that Dan created is remarkable, right? Like it looks like vintage porcelain. I mean, and just to say this out loud, like the reason why anybody wears a mask in mythology, in lore, in literature is there are very specific reasons why they wear a mask. It's either they want to remain anonymous, they want to protect something, it's a shield, it's their security blanket, the thing they can't operate without. It's the thing that they're conditioned to wear for a certain reason. Um, and that is very much the case here. And all of the clues are baked into the film. It's just not answered yet because we didn't have the time or money to explain all of that mythology and knew that we would get to it when we could in subsequent Dolly films. So, yeah.
I love that. Were there any like kind of also on the topic of the mask? Were there any like alternate designs that almost made the cut when working on getting the mask assembled and created? Were there any alternate designs you could share?
No, there were no, I mean, from on the page until now, I mean, Dolly, it's interesting. Like, if you go back and look at the baby girl mask, the mask that was in Baby Girl, it was like, that was like a chicken wire and paper mache version of it was like, because that was just like us making our homemade, approximation of what was, in the script that we had written. But no, I mean, I think like, yeah, there were no other iterations. I mean, I actually wonder if I feel like Dan Martin at 13 Finger maybe at one point shared some of the initial 3D concepts. Like he'd been generating in his software program like these designs, and yeah, there were as you're designing the face, you're considering you're making choices, right? And so, but that's the same with anything. I think one of the choices that I made very late in the process that I really think affected the look of Dolly was we decided to open Dolly's mouth and show those two little kid teeth just a little bit. There was an early version of the mask where Dolly's lips were closed, but as I was looking at old vintage dolls and old, vintage cracked eye dolls and all this stuff from like, 100-year old Victorian dolls, the innocence and the childlike nature of that little cherub pouty mouth was really unsettling. And I think like it actually really makes Dolly unsettling. Like it was as soon as Dan showed me that, I was like, holy smokes, yes, we have to go with the open mouth. Or the slightly open mouth, the slightly open lips.
I love that. That's so creepy.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
it was like it
yeah,
was way creepier. Like, and I can't unsee it now. And I'd forgotten about it until just now that that was part of it. But yeah, it was very cool. It was very cool.
love it.
Actually, I did notice a lot about the design for like Dolly being like, well, the whole theme about the movie was mostly about like motherhood and stuff. And you have Macy and Dolly are complete opposites of each other, with Macy not wanting to be a mother at first and Dolly with the smothering, twisted motherhood. But like, I want to ask like more about the backstory of Dolly. Like, what is motherhood to Dolly?
Well, as you can see in the film, like Dolly loves her mother. I mean, she's mourning her mother's loss in the opening scene, and she's like at this crisis point in her life, and everything is going to be different for her going forward. You know, you can watch Dolly take care of her mother, lovingly bury her corpse. You can watch Dolly respond to when Macy is, engaging with that body. You can see the way that Dolly's stressed and the way Dolly's comportment changes. So, I in the film, people can see, and it's been wonderful to see people like pick up on this and talk about it, like how much that relationship, Dolly's relationship with her mother, is like a beautiful thing, and Dolly has a hole in her heart. Um, and at this precise moment, the ability to generationally pick up the baton of her mother's changes, right? Like literally a child wanders into her lap, or her metaphorical lap. And so, yeah, it's like, it's, again, but like you're saying, there are two characters who will never quite be on the same page. One who this is their nightmare, or this has been a nightmare in their life and in their grounded life, and another person for whom is in a very stressful situation without their mother and has a solution to their problems. It's just that child is not actually a child and is never going to submit to being a child. But yeah, that's like that, you can see where Dolly comes from. You can also see in the movie, and again, I'm not gonna, not spoil it here or give away too much, is like you can see that Dolly's relationship to the other parent in her life is very, very different and very, very dark and very, very unhealthy. And again, I'm speaking about it like cagely, but or cagely, or like I don't want to give give any spoilers or give any away, but it's like you can see then that Dolly has one great parent and one not great parent. You know?
I, yeah, that that's so cool. Because like because like I wrote down in my notes, because I have a bunch of other stuff regarding like Dolly's similarities to other horror villains. But one thing I mentioned is that Dolly is darkly sympathetic. Because on our rewatch we were just like, I kind of feel for her, man. Like this, that's sad. like the whole situation's fucked up, but it's like, oh man, it's kind of sad. So I guess how did you go about writing that kind of sympathetic villain archetype for Dolly in this film?
I mean, I'm trying to think about like, well, there's two pieces of this, right? The
Mm,
first is that like I think that people are you, me, I mean the three of us, I mean, as much as I would say this about anybody, is that I think most people are complicated and that they are not one thing. And that even despite the bad things you might be at certain times, or the stressed out version of yourself or the angry version of yourself, like that's a response to stimuli and stuff you're going through, and that people are trying to just navigate life. And so generally I think about all characters like that. Truly is right, is like is to start with, you know having grace for them, right? Or trying to make them human, right? Or like bake that humanity, or what I see in humanity, into them. Um, it's also just far more interesting to me as characters generally to have that be the case in anything I'm making or writing. But what I've thought about too, since Dolly has come out now and people are talking about it and responding to it, is that I think on the page, all the events of the movie, all of the events of the character this was all on the page. This is all in the script. Dolly's relationship to her parents and the way she behaves differently relative to each of them was on the page. But the reason why you feel the way I think you do about Dolly is because of Max the Impaler. And the like that is what a great actor does, right? Like, because there are many like a lot of, in the hands of a not great actor, Dolly could feel more one-dimensional or not as nuanced. Like you, and again, I have to give Max all of this credit because I can't do that. I'm not that. I'm not an actor. Max has been an actor their whole career as a professional wrestler, and has been an actor that can convey emotion and feeling and story without words. And so Max is like, I mean, we got really lucky in finding Max, and that Max agreed to meet with me and responded to me like hounding them over the internet. But they made Dolly be what they are, and the reason why Dolly affects you that way. That is Max, and that is great acting.
No, yeah, I mean Max the Impaler's performance in this is amazing. Like great performance of a like you talk about great like horror like movie monster and villain performances, and like Max the Impaler as Dolly is nothing short of iconic. I definitely agree. And I did put in my notes, I wanted to ask how the casting of Dolly was Max the Impaler y'all's go-to choice? Was there kind of a short list? How did you get in contact with Max? How did that whole process play out?
By the way, Jacob, do you have a Dolly shirt on?
I do. This is the one you gave me at Fantastic Fest. Or it was either you
Yes.
or someone else. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible, dude. I just realized that I have like over here, I have that's a Dolly poster behind the blur. dude, that's very cool. I don't know why I didn't realize that earlier. So sorry.
No, you're good.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, Ross O'Connor, my producing partner, and producer of Dolly, had seen a wrestling promotion for the NWA in Nashville at an event space, and the Max the Impaler as a wrestling character has a very arresting look, and we had we knew that we needed a physical performer, again, somebody that could act and tell a story without words. What we didn't have was somebody that could be that. We originally thought about athletes, we thought about dancers, we thought about, mimes, people that worked Cirque du Soleil. Like we were, I don't know, we there was kind of like a giant list of like, well, where do we start? And I don't even think we had made one ask of anybody before Ross saw this flyer. We then hounded them on all of their social media, Instagram, via their YouTube channel, and via the NWA. And eventually, somebody at the NWA told Max, "Hey, these people won't stop hounding you. Like, you should get back to them." And Max very kindly wrote us back and then said, when I went to meet them for lunch and to tell them about the movie, they said their lifelong dream had been to be a monster in a horror movie, and that they were beginning to think that their dream might not ever come true. And, when somebody tells you that, it knocks you over the head and you just go, well, this is meant to be. And now it's, now it's lore.
I love that. That's awesome. No, I'm just imagining you showing up. You're like, I am the answer. Don't worry, I got this.
I
Here
mean,
we go.
yeah, I mean, we got, I get, like, I don't know, maybe, sometimes I wonder if it's luck. Or maybe it's not luck, but maybe it's the universe kind of giving you what you need at that point, Like, I don't know. Like, even as I say those words out of my mouth, I think, well, the universe, plenty of times, I like yell into the void and it doesn't yell back or it doesn't return my call. But in this case, it did. So, um, yeah, very grateful that whatever like cosmic powers are at play like allowed this to come together. Just people meeting online, like what? I mean, granted,
Mhm.
at the same time, I feel like there are so many incredible friends and partners in my life that are just people I've met on the internet that I think I'm like it's crazy, right? Like I don't even know how I'm 45, and so I went through college as the internet was coming to be a thing in everyone's life, but it's really been incredible to go. I know so many fantastic people. And I've made so many fantastic things and collaborate with, I mean, now lifelong friends in person because we just met on the internet. And like maybe that just is the new watering hole or bowling league or, rec center or whatever it might be that, people would meet at in the days of yore. So, yeah, what a crazy thing to think about sometimes.
The internet is that cosmic thing you were talking about, the cosmic, the stars aligning. I think so, at least, because I agree. You meet tons of cool people online that, I mean, become your friends. We have plenty of people that we've like either we've interviewed or we've worked with or whatever that we've just met through the internet, and now it's like now we see them at like conventions and stuff, and we're like, hey, what's up? Um, one thing though, kind of further on Max the Impaler's performance, uh, Max gives a strikingly similar performance, and this is where I'm going to start gushing about my all-time favorite. It gives a strikingly similar performance to Gunnar Hansen's performance as Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like on this rewatch, I was like, this might be one of the closest I've seen to matching, even more so than some of the Chainsaw Massacre sequels. Like this might be one of the closest I've seen to being able to match the energy of the original Leatherface. Uh, and I think what you were talking about earlier, Rod, when you said like Dolly reacting to stimuli and emotion, because that's just Leatherface, right? Because I mean I watch the original Chainsaw Massacre movie a few times a year. I love that movie, and every single time I notice something new, and we did like a whole retrospective on the franchise a few months ago. We watched the original, did like an hour-long video on it, just gushing about it. And it's like Gunnar Hansen's performance in that is so like again, it's sympathetic. It's purely reactive. You start to feel for Leatherface because all these fucking teenagers are coming into his house, bothering him. And it's like you feel kind of the same way with Dolly. You're like, this is just a reaction, an unhinged reaction, but a reaction to something that is, from Dolly's perspective, like this is how they're taking it. So I'm curious what went into directing that? What did you bring in any did you say, hey, we're gonna channel some Leatherface energy? Did Max, bring that on board, or like what was the process in directing that? Because it was a phenomenal, like you said, a phenomenal performance.
No, well, so this is like I don't think I've ever said this out loud anywhere else, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it out loud here. Is that like I've only seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre once, and it was back in the 80s. And and uh I'm not a big rewatcher of movies. I was actually starting to think as I was thinking about this answer, I was like, what films do I rewatch? Like I've rewatched, I mean, uh Dune 1 and 2. I've rewatched every Denis Villeneuve film, like actually that's not like Sicario, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, Dune. I've rewatched Interstellar a couple times because I love Interstellar. I rewatched Heat, like the Michael Mann film Heat. I rewatched Alien. I rewatched the original Blade Runner. Um, but as I'm saying this out loud, you can see that my like and I wonder sometimes why do I find myself going back to those films? And it's because that is the genre that is my first love, right? Are like those movies, right? Like I want to make Alien and Blade Runner. Like what I have many of them like um but when I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, I grew up in a small town without a TV. And my folks still live on a gravel road in a town with no traffic lights, and they still don't have a TV. Well, they have the internet, but it's slow. They still have like just above dial-up. It's terrible. Uh, but like you watch films like Evil Dead, The Faces of Death, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, The Shining, and those films like wallop you over the head. And so they are very much a part of my like DNA and my voice as a filmmaker. Um, but I actually try so hard, like again, it's like to not watch things in the genre I'm working in. And what I mean by that is like I think a lot of times, like, it's interesting. While we were making Dolly, people kept, while we were shooting Dolly, and then once we were in post, people kept talking about a trilogy that this filmmaker Ty West has made. I've never seen a single one of them, and I go, because I'm going, well, I want to do things like that too. So if I watch those films, then someone's going to say, like, oh, you've tipped your hat to this. And I go, well, it's not possible, right? It's literally not possible. I haven't watched it. Now, at the same time, I know that Max, don't get me wrong, like I've seen all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres and would love to have like, you know, I actually like really petitioned really hard to try to um, direct part of JT Molner's series for A24 or this or the um, or this like this film the version that Curry Barker is getting to make and it's because like of course I love the films and I've seen them all and I think I could do something unique and make an incredible contribution but for example I also don't rewatch the Screams. I don't rewatch the Friday the 13th. I don't rewatch the Halloweens. Like I'm caught up and I'm contemporary but what I will rewatch is The Shining. And it's because to me, The Shining is like a singular, like authoritative experience, right? To me, it's a work of art. These other things feel like, and I actually remember Jacob, you sent me a message online about like A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think you wrote me back about that on Twitter, and I'm like. I'm not going to go rewatch it. I think a lot of people I know do rewatch it. They like comfort watch, right? And I'm just not that filmmaker. Like I'm kind of want to be inside of my own head and have my own ideas and not be like referencing things all the time beyond like the I don't remember what year exactly I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've thought about it every interview I've done. Maybe it was like 1988 or 1989. I can't quite remember. I can remember the video store that it came from. but I can't remember like what year it was. And so again, I think like what Dolly has become is the process of collaboration, right? And then what boggles my mind is that that means that across all of my key collaborators, so Max, all these actors, Max, Fabian, Sean, Ethan, production designer, Kyra Baselli, cinematographer, Justin Derry, gaffer David Risner, editor Justin Oki, composer Nick Bohun, is that like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has seeped into our veins. And in some ways, right, what alchemy has happened then where in the film it feels like that in some right. It like takes on that like I don't know those qualities. But at the same time, this dude, sorry, I'm like there's a lot of things that go into like why something is the way it is.
Mhm.
Ethan Suplee's character is named Toby, right? After Toby Hooper, right? Um, Brandon Weevil, my writing partner, is a repeat watcher, and like his love and knowledge of genre films is incredible. You know, it's remarkable. Like there's no better student of the genre and better authority on the genre, I think, than Brandon. And I've thought about this a while, but we named Toby after Toby Hooper. But in the movie, there's a sign that people walk past that says like scenic overlook and it says Hooper Mine, right? And Hooper Mine was actually an abandoned garnet mine that I grew up near in upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains. And as a kid, it was a place of all my nightmares because there were these old miners' cottages and it was literally a giant open pit mine. And sometimes it was very fun and exciting, but oftentimes it was terrifying. And so it's interesting because like people automatically assume Toby Hooper because it's got all this other DNA. And I'm going, well, no, that's actually just from my childhood. Like that's literally Google it, like North River, New York, Hooper Mine. It's there, right? It's a crazy place. But as a kid, I can distinctly remember once you learn of who Toby Hooper is, your brain goes, your little like, developing brain goes, is there a chance this crazy movie character lives in my backyard? And like that, like, and then of course you start to imagine things, you start to see things in the woods, and so again, it's just how I think the wizardry and the alchemy of creating something goes. It becomes this thing, and it also Dolly becomes a Rorschach. Is that like people see in Dolly what they want to see, or like again, it activates some base level thing or something you have deep inside of you. Fabian Therese, who plays Macy, actually told me after she watched the cut of the film and did ADR, she was like, "What's crazy is that the final scene of Dolly. Well, this is a little bit. Well, it's not a spoiler, but like Macy's in a car, a truck driving, like, and the way it looks and the color and the light and the time of day looks like an iconic image from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre." And Fabian told me that in her whole life people would, or as an actor, right? Like people would see that image online and not know as much about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a lot of us or the franchise and go, Fabi, is this you from a new movie? And it blew my mind. I was like, what are the chances of that? Like, again, we didn't set out to be the case. I'll actually explain it to you. The day we shot that scene, it was our last day on set. The truck wouldn't work. Uh, we bought a truck on Craigslist, a Ram Charger. It wouldn't run. So we loaded it up on a U-Haul trailer and we towed my truck has I have a Ram 1500. We towed this Ram Charger on the truck on a U-Haul trailer down this dirt road. It was way too bumpy. The light was fading, like the light was going away. We were only a couple hours into what was going to be a full night shoot, and we had no time. My sound guy dropped a sound bag in the truck that Fabian was in, and then Justin climbed in the truck and just needed to be able to shoot like climb around. We'd never even synced sound. We just hoped we could figure it out later. It was just like a mad dash to get something, and then it worked completely. And so I go, man, we were just trying to solve some shit on the day. we weren't trying to like tip our hat to anything. We were just trying to make it through the shoot. And holy crap, it like is there, right? It boggles my mind, right? That it looks like that. It looks like those moments from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not intended, right? So I go, even if we'd set out to do that, would we have done it? Maybe not. Like, but here we are again. It just like and then again, I think about this. Maybe the cosmos is telling us it's okay, Rod, and it's okay, Rod. This is your movie is going to have this much the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Leatherface DNA in it, and that's because this that film and that franchise is more a part of you than you're willing to admit. And I'm going, this is a beautiful thing because also I hope that if that's what brings people to Dolly and makes them fall in love with it, that's incredible. Like because people are thanking me for that, and I'm going, that's very kind. It, I didn't know that we would be like this, right? I actually think on the page, Dolly was a little more bleak and brutal and less full of life, like less vibrant, less. And again, that the collaboration has made Dolly the movie and Dolly the character be what they are. So, man, I'm so long-winded. I'm so sorry, dudes, dudes and dudettes.
No, that was great. I loved all that. I mean, like it blows my mind how much of that is unintentional because and Ari can attest this because we were when we were rewatching it, every other scene I was like, that's so Chainsaw Massacre. I love that. That's so I put in my notes, I was like, when Macy jumps out the window, I was like, that's so Sally from Chainsaw Massacre jumping out the window while being chased. That's such a cool homage, man. And then the Hooper mine, I was like, I love this shit.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Like again, I know that like again, two writers, like our writer brains are working very differently, right? Like my writer brain is working producerially, like how to achieve it, guardrails, like big picture vision, like franchise vision. And Brandon again has the knowledge and the lore and the like again, like that's why we're great. That's why I believe we have been great collaborators and we work really, really well together is because again, we're just synthesizing like what we both bring to something and then it becomes great because one plus one equals three, right? On our own, on like, and this is not the right way to say this, but like, because it wouldn't be the case on this, but like, one could see how on their own, if you love House of a Thousand Corpses and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and you revere those films, you might make something that feels too much like those films, right? And I'm like, but because Brandon and I have different tastes and different first loves, it works perfectly because the thing itself is not going to be one or the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to become a collaboration. It's not just going to be like you know, um, a tip of the hat, right? Or a pure homage to that. Like I love, again, I grew up without like I was saying, I grew up without a TV. I loved fairy tales, and I love reading. Even right now, I'm reading Harry Potter. I'm in the first book to my oldest daughter, and they're in Diagon Alley right now, and they're getting Harry stuff right for Hogwarts. And I'm sitting here thinking, damn it, Rod, this is like you could have this idea now, right? I was like, it's so simple, right? I was like, it's so, and I was like, also, I love it so much right now that all I want to do is go rewatch Harry Potter. She's never seen them. She's 9. We're gonna watch them after we finish each book. But I also love the later Harry Potter so much more than the first. Like the last 3, right? The two, like that's my jam, right? And I go, well, is that my jam because I'm an adult, right? And I like how dark those are and like how but I don't know. Like I'm going here. Like I love storybook, like that, and I think so that like that to me is so much of what Dolly is too. Is like a fairy tale,
Mhm.
right? And I go, I I love that, right? Like people see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I see the 1937 Snow White, or like Alice in Wonderland, right? Like the horror version of that, which is again is me synthesizing and marrying my influences. So it's cool. It's like, but also, dude, here's the thing, you two, Dolly's not mine anymore. It's yours. It's everybody's. So I mean that genuinely is like, like it's I have the things I love and know about it and the like internal things. but I've read I've received some incredible notes and letters and thank yous and anonymous Reddit messages, and like it's been remarkable to see how this has touched people for a number of varying things, and that to me is so damn cool.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said earlier, like Dolly is a Rorschach painting, right? You know, like everyone's gonna see different things. Like again, I am a total nerd for Chainsaw Massacre, so I'm gonna see it everywhere, right? Um, but I do find it important, and you mentioned this, I thought it was a really good anecdote, um, is how you don't want to have too much homage. Like you want the homage to feel natural, but you don't want to be like a heavy influence where it's like so noticeable. And I think that's a pretty interesting point, and because I agree. You see not so many, but you see some movies where it's like it's almost all homages, and there's no blending. There's somewhere it's like it's no originality or there's no like blending of different ideas. Like with Dolly, it's definitely a blend of different
Oh, well,
ideas,
thank
and
you.
it comes through very. So whenever I'm gushing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm not just saying it's a Chainsaw Massacre homage.
No, I know, and and dude, totally, and I'm just like I'm just. It's funny. I've like thought about it a lot, like since talking about it a lot, and even on what's today, Tuesday, I guess Friday. I don't know. Someday I did a maybe it was yesterday. I did an interview about Dolly, and yeah, it's like I've thought about. I was just like I was like, what is it that I've not said, or like. I was like, I've been thinking about it all the time. Every time it comes up, and I just decided to go ahead and say it. Is that I actually haven't rewatched again, the original The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I haven't
Mhm.
rewatched any of them actually. I not like fully. Like I'll see them on here or there, or like or sometimes they'll be at like base. I don't know, like in a crew house somewhere working on something, and someone will put it on, but or put anything on. But I'll catch a snippet of it here and there. But like I haven't like yeah revisited, and I don't think I will because the best thing I can do going forward is I've found that like I too many things it's too easy when you know something so intimately to do just that, right? Like
Mhm.
here's a good example. I love E.T. and I love The Iron Giant. Like I love those movies.
Mhm.
Um and I love things like that generally. I love the essence of those films, the way they make you feel, how beautiful they are, how much about like coming of age and understanding the world for the first time, and the hardships and the like all this stuff. And I want to make a movie like that, but I have a very hard time not just writing like E.T. right or like my own version of E.T. And I'm going like, well, that's because I'm like, well, because I've watched those movies way too much, and I go, that's not a good thing. Like if I want to make my own contemporary version of that, I can't keep doing that. Or another movie I love, and this is not what we're here to talk about. Sorry, y'all. I love The Matrix, the first Matrix, so much for these same reasons. Not just it's a perfect movie, but it's also like what it's talking about is so insane to me and the way it's doing it. And I go, I want to make my The Matrix. Now but I have cracked an idea that's never going to be seen as The Matrix, right? Like, but thematically and about humanity, what it's doing, I think I've got, but it's still different. It's not, but it is wrapping up these themes and these ideas inside of a science fiction, gritty science fiction thing. But it's just not doing it like The Matrix, but it is my The Matrix. So I've like figured out how to do that, but I can't, dude. I need to figure it out with E.T. and the Iron Giant because like I just want to make one of those. I want to make a film. My daughter, my oldest daughter, the one who I'm reading Harry Potter to right now, she's in Dolly. She's the kid, Eve. Her name is Eve. But that's my daughter. Um, she asks me all the time, like, Dad, can you make us a kids movie? Like these movies are scary. And I go, yeah, I would like to. It's not that easy. I'm like, I can't just make a kids movie. I can't just get anyone to let me make a kids movie. But I'm going like, I'm gonna crack it because I want to make something that, you know, will affect them now. And my youngest is 4, the way that those movies affected me at those moments in my life. And so I'm on a mission to do that. I don't know how to do that. Maybe I'm putting it out into the cosmos right now. I'm sending it out to the universe. I'm making the call. Hear my call. Like, come back to me. So, Yeah, this is just me. This is just how I make things.
That's what the show is for, calling out into the world and saying, let's do this.
I
But
appreciate that.
I love that though, because I love when filmmakers take that approach to things where it's like, I'm not gonna make this, I'm gonna make my version of this. Like I remember back when Jordan Peele's Nope, when he was on a press tour for that, he someone brought up, they're like, I know this is an Alien movie, but I don't think this is you making Alien. I think this is you making Jaws. And he was like, yeah, that's it. That's what it is. Because Nope and Jaws share more, like have more thematic DNA shared than Nope and, say, Ridley Scott's Alien. And I was like, oh, that's such a brilliant, like, little, that's just side tangent. That's just one of my favorite little interviews
Yeah.
was when Jordan Peele was like, this is basically my Jaws. And I was like, whoa. And then I rewatched the movie and I was like, this is Jaws. Like, this is his
Dude,
Jaws. It's
I
not
mean,
Jaws, but it's his Jaws.
well, somebody explained this to me. My manager actually, like, I don't know why I said someone. It's because I haven't had enough coffee and I'm like anxious about the day. But my manager, I was telling you how much I love Denis Villeneuve, who, and like, that is my, like, just a filmmaker I love, I revere. And, my manager Antonio said to me, he was like, "Prisoners," um, or is it? Gosh, I always say it wrong. There's an album by Ryan Adams called "Prisoners," and I need to look this up because I Denis Villeneuve Prisoner. Oh, it is Prisoners, with an S. I love this movie. The movie's a hard watch. The movie's a hard watch as a parent. It's a masterpiece, though. Jake Gyllenhaal's performance is incredible. Hugh Jackman, Paul Dano, these people are incredible. But Antonio said to me, he was like, that movie, if you like, if you give that to John Carpenter in a certain era, that's a horror movie. That's a full-blown horror movie, right? Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, and then like, and that's where I think filmmaking, voice, and authorship really decides what something is going to be. A good example of this too is like Zach Krieger, I never know how to actually say his name, like is, there's real authorship and there's a real, he has a voice, right? He's not just making something that looks like that anybody could have made it. Sometimes I'll have someone tell me about a movie and I'll go, yeah, but everybody who like there's no authorship there, right? That's just, anybody could have made that version of the movie. And not that I'll ever get a chance to do this, but I would love to do this as an example because I do think it would be very cool. I don't know how it would work, and I don't have the money to do it, but I would love to get three different filmmakers and find a way to have them each make the same movie, just because I find it so fascinating relative to creativity is, right? Like everyone's going to bring something different, their influences, the things that like the tip of the iceberg versus like what's deep down beneath the surface. And yeah, yeah, I'll never get to do that, but I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool for people to see as well, right? Like, again, take Prisoners is like, give that film to, I'm trying to think, like, yeah, give that film to three different filmmakers and you get three different versions of that. Like, tonally, like, same beats, same narrative, but like, you're gonna get three different experiences of that movie, and that's cool. Dude, that's the best to me.
It kind of reminds me, there was this one show, and I could totally be like misremembering it because it was a long while back. But I think there was a TV show that had a very similar, it was like a reality show that had kind of a similar premise. I think it was called The Chair. And it was like they took two different filmmakers and gave them the same
Ah,
like beat sheet, like not like a full script, but they gave them like the same premise and synopsis and was like, okay, write a 90-minute script and then go shoot a 90-minute movie with this
Chair. I gotta look that
with
up.
these guidelines. And they had two different people do it, and it was two very different movies. Like one was like a really raunchy, stupid comedy, and one was like a coming of age story. But
Chair.
it was the same. I know Zachary Quinto was like one of the guys on it. He's the American Horror Story and um yeah, total side tangent. And
Okay,
but when
okay, okay, okay.
you telling me about that, I was like that I swear that reminds me of that show. And I could also be misremembering the title. I don't know. It could probably
Okay, okay.
take a
Zachary
few people's.
Quinto. I gotta look this up.
Yeah.
The chair. Yeah, it is. It is the chair. Oh yeah, Chris Moore. Wow. Okay.
Okay, okay, so I was right. Yeah, because I remember
Well,
watching a video
yeah.
on it, and I've always thought it was a very interesting filmmaking exercise. I'm kind of sad they didn't do more seasons of it because I thought it'd be a really neat way to get up and coming filmmakers out there. Just give them you give them a budget, you give them the synopsis, and you get two different filmmakers to go do a thing, and then both the movies get released in theaters for a weekend, and it's just yeah. I thought the TV show was cool, and you telling me
Okay.
that reminded me
Right.
of that.
So it's interesting, like, yeah, I don't even yeah. In this reality TV show about two directors making, oh my gosh, you're so right. Man, I've not heard of this. This sounds incredible.
I'm so
Uh,
shocked I remember that because I think the only reason I remember is because I watched a YouTube video on it because one of the contestants was a YouTuber that like got into a lot of controversy and they're like, "Hey, remember when he was on this TV show?" I'm getting way off topic, but that's how I remember that show.
no. This is crazy. I've never heard of this. I'm gonna not look at this while I'm talking to you all right now, but
No, you're good.
that's cool. Like yeah, two first-time directors are given the opportunity to direct separate films adapted from the same original screenplay. And the guy who created it was the creator of Project Greenlight, Chris Moore. Um, wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Dude, this is cool. All right, thank you, Jacob. Like, I had no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, dude,
No, because like
dude.
you tell me that was I was like it was like a wire. I was like, whoa, hold on. I think that you should
Right,
watch that.
right. That's insane. Okay, I'm gonna go. Yes. Okay, I can't wait. Well, I don't know. Like, it's interesting. Like, yeah, yeah. I wonder if I'll like. Yeah, I'm still gonna go watch it. Yeah, dude. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
One
Um,
season. I wonder how many episodes. I gotta like, but I'll figure that out later. Anyway, one, two, three, four. Oh, there's 7 episodes. Holy smokes. Okay, I'm gonna watch this. No, 10 episodes. All right, let's go back to Dolly.
well, one question I did have here, and I think it was my second question I wrote in my notebook on rewatch. How many baby dolls did y'all use on set?
I mean, there were hundreds of dolls, and it turns out if you need to get into the creepy doll business, Facebook Marketplace, at least in Middle Tennessee, is that's your ticket.
Business is booming.
Yeah, it's like we saved only some of them. We have a storage unit of stuff still. Um, and I kind of wish we'd saved more. I like, but I was thinking we saved a lot of key props and key things from the movie, but not every doll. We saved as much as possible, but like there were way too many. In fact, we actually went back to the woods where we shot. When did we go back? I guess that was in February. We went back to the same woods where we shot in February. It's just totally random. Um, we shot in May in those woods of May of 2024. So almost 2 years ago right now, right? Like we were approaching and we dug a grave, right? We dug a grave. And the land it's our friend and like a friend of the court owns that land. It was like very instrumental in offering us a lot of incredible in-kind donations and in-kind equity to film in Chattanooga. Um, this guy Jimmy owns that land and we dug the grave and we also had a tent there that was like where our catering and where people could sit out of the rain and like it was like a small party tent, right? And when we wrapped out in June, when production was done and we closed down set and headed home, we were all positive that we filled in the grave and that we took down the party tent. And we were there almost 2 years later, so like a month and a half ago, and the grave is still there. There are still dolls in the trees, and the party tent is still there. And we were both like, or we were both like, I mean, those of us that were there were two of us there that were talking about this. We're like, huh, like none of us, dude, it's our production, it's my movie. Like I'm. I'm positive we did these things, but also that means Jimmy hasn't been on his own land in 2 years, which is all we were also like, maybe we should go ahead and fill it in now. But yeah, there are still some dolls in a grave deep in the woods. And my hope is that, what if somebody just walking through the woods came across that right now, with no context, no film crew, like nothing, And they were like, what the fresh hell is happening here? Well, that's what happened there, you know?
It's like the Blair Witch Project with dolls. They're like walking through and they're like, what the like what's hanging from these trees? That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I don't really, yeah, I mean, this is the thing of dolls aren't my fear factor. But they are for some people. But I get what the fear factor comes from. I will say this. The faces of like a doll face gets into the uncanny valley territory, right? It's
Hmm.
like looks a little too human and not and uh, like too happy or like the expression matters a whole lot. And I can see how when if you were in the woods in the middle of nowhere and you came across a doll standing there, you like I don't want to see that either, I will say, right? Because you're like, how did that get here? Is there somebody nearby? Right? Like what that doesn't make sense, right? And so yes, there is a Blair Witch with dolls right down in the hills of Chattanooga, right, waiting for somebody right now. So like there's a grave and a bunch of dolls and they're nasty hanging from trees, covered in dirt on the ground. Like I saw them, right? Like they're there.
Good Lord. Okay, so now all right, we gotta take a road trip over there and
Right?
bring some shovels. Because
Let's dig some up.
yeah, well, we were watching and we're like, well, I wonder if he'll I wonder if we can ask him to send us one for like a prop in the office. I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Just drive over there, start digging them up.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So hundreds of dolls, huh?
I mean, hundreds. Yeah, hundreds. Like, look at that nursery, right? Like, the nursery, Dolly's nursery is like teeming with dolls. Here's the thing, too, when you break porcelain dolls, they are very dangerous, right? Like they shatter, right? It's like glass. I mean, so be careful.
I was when you were talking about filming on that land. I was curious about the house because all the exterior shots of the house. I was like, this is just too perfect. Oh, that's like perfect, creepy, almost like giant doll house. So like, was that on the land already, or
House
was
is
that
not
built?
real. The house is not real.
Really?
Dude, we built the house on a inside of an old perfume factory in Chattanooga, two floors, two separate floors, and the outside of the house is a painting.
What?
Yeah, dude, movie magic. I mean, it's interesting when we wrote the film, and this was like, I think in those first text messages between Brandon and I that we shared, we were like, we don't have a lot of money. We didn't have any money then, and we still never had a lot of money to make it. We were like, well, we'll write a film that takes place in just a few locations with a few number of actors, and it takes place entirely during the day because you don't have to light something if it takes place during the day. And and so we also then realized, well, Macy needs to like some of this film is going to happen at night, but if it takes place in the house at night, there can be lights, and then we were like, and if the windows are boarded up so that Macy can't escape, you can't escape the dollhouse. Well, then we could film during the day and block out the light, block out the daylight. So we did try to find a house, didn't find a house. So we just were like, well, we can make one completely and control it completely. And so yeah, it's two separate floors and inside of a warehouse, a non-traditional, like literally an old perfume factory.
Yeah.
Movie
That'd be
magic, right?
cool. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it looks real. It's insane. It's insane. It's like, I mean, the two floors existed completely. The stairwell existed completely. The stairwell was a stairwell to nowhere. They could go up it and they would stop. Like you see Ethan Suplee's character lead Macy down the stairs. they actually do start up there. They're just if they were to go another foot forward around the corner, there would just be a wall. They're a whole story up above the ground. But like, yeah, and it's interesting if the camera at that point when it's looking up, like if it tipped up a little more, you would just see like a warehouse, and there's no walls on the other side. We only built the set as big as our we could or like there was one shot we could get. We're like, well, we're gonna get that one shot, and that shot's gonna work, and that's how we're gonna tell the story. So,
Just
What
run
was the
again.
hardest practical effect to pull off?
oh my gosh, all of them. I say all of them because the thing about practical effects is, it needs to work on camera, right? In camera. Um, and I say hard, like that they just require precision, right? Because you're doing it's a choreography, right? Like so it's I say all of them because like you 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 have to shoot it in camera and you have to get it in camera. I'm trying to think of what the hardest one was, like moment to moment. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, there's something that happens late in the film with Billy the Park Ranger, and I'm only because I'm rewatching or I'm putting together all the behind the scenes features of the film. And when we shot what happens to Billy the Park Ranger, I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to spoil it outright for anybody. We you can see us react to the first take, and it was awesome. And then we tried like six more takes, thinking we could fix the minutia of it before we realized, oh, the first take was just fine. I actually think the first take is in the film. But we were trying to nail the precision of it. There's a lot that happens in that moment, right? Like, again, I'm without spoiling it. There's like we aren't actually doing the thing we're doing to a real person, but there's a hand coming up on the glass. This thing is happening, and also there's blood happening at the same time. And you're going, well, how can I time those three things out so your brain is watching all of these things happen independently? And it's really hard to do, right? Like, because again, it's all happening in camera. So I say that they are all hard, but we had an incredible special effects team. Ashley Thomas and her partner Al from Yellow Moth Makeup, and we've made other movies with them since. This we've actually made three other movies with them since making Dolly. And again, you find awesome people, and you go, "Oh, I'm gonna just work with those people forever."
That's how I do
Bro,
it
they did
too.
amazing.
The makeup in this is phenomenal. Like I'm not gonna do any spoil. I'm not gonna say who or like spoilers, but there is a scene with a jaw that
Well,
had
I mean,
me freaked out when I saw it at Fantastic. Like I was like squirming in my seat. So few films at Fantastic had me doing that, but Dolly a number of times did it. But specifically a scene involving someone's jaw, I was like, oh my god.
Well, I mean, obviously, like you can't really do that to a person. Again, I'm like withholding information. So there's a merger of practical effects that actor was not very happy about, or not. They weren't not happy about it. It just was like a pain in the butt. And people like it was hard to do, right? It was hard to do. It was a pain to have on, and then we had an incredible three-person VFX team in Los Angeles. Ethan, Tim, and Adam. And Adam released a reel recently that I reshared as a collaboration on Instagram where he shows the work he did on the jaw, and it's incredible. I mean, and like so whenever we d- we did everything practically, but it turns out you can't actually maim somebody. I'm kidding. Like so you have to do you are going to do some VFX or like there's another practical effect that happens. It's not in any of the trailers. It happens to another character or something that happens to their body. Well, you can't really do that you can't really have a real head on a body where this thing happens. And so you do it, you do it in VFX. Well, sorry, there's a real thing up here, there's a real thing down here, and the merger of them becomes VFX. So there are VFX in the film. I couldn't have achieved that whole thing practically, but the pieces of it are practical. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like, I end up, marrying things together in post. So, yeah, but these collaborators are awesome, and the work looks so good, and because of these people and what they're doing.
So you mentioned you were putting together stuff like behind the scenes. So are we getting? Can we expect a Blu-ray on the way?
Well, so my understanding and is that like, oh man, well, I'll just let the cat out of the bag. I never know sometimes what we're supposed to talk about or not talk about. But yesterday we had a meeting where I believe there's a Dolly steel case in like edition coming. We've and that has some special features on it. Uh, like filmmaker commentary, a featurette like making of. We're working on like a Chrome edition of the film. I believe IFC is going to make VHS. Now, I know in other countries around the world, like Poland is making their own VHS, the French are making their own VHS. The Germans are doing a Blu-ray, a 4K release, like an HDR release. And yeah, I mean, we are also like, we're trying to figure out like the form right now of like I think we probably have two feature length making of behind the scenes, like just like a true like how something gets made start to finish, like a camera that was with us every step of the way very intimately and is like a very honest and simple look at what like how making a movie, like how the moment to moment goes, right? The joys, the frustrations, the stresses, the realities of it, like and yeah, I mean I think like as we get deeper into the Dolly franchise and the Dolly mythology is like, I think there's Dolly is a product of me trying to again solve some professional frustrations and also going, man, I can show people how you can do this too. Like, or I can make myself available and demyth things and talk about it, right? It's like why I have no like, talk about how you achieve something or how you dream it up or make a proof of concept, right? And so I think that my hope is that as we put together these behind the scenes, is that people will go, oh man, like you're just trying to figure it out in real time too. And oh, look, you just talk about it. Someone has an idea on set and you talk about it and you figure out how to achieve it. And I think that like our behind the scenes documentaries will speak to that or it will show that, right? It'll just make us I guess I want to leave something behind that is like helpful to people too.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, insanely happy to hear that we're getting all of that. As I mean, as someone who nerds out over behind the scenes stuff like that, to hear we're getting, you said two feature length behind the
Well,
scenes,
I
or
mean, I have more than that. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it right now.
right? You can
Like,
just send it to me. You send it to me. Oh,
yeah,
we'll
no, I
figure
mean,
something
I'm
out.
like, I'm getting my way through it right now, but like, it's yeah, um, it's cool. It's cool.
No, and especially because we were when we were talking about physical media, what got me to ask about that, besides you mentioned assembling behind the scenes stuff, is because I did see the I can't remember if it was the French or Polish VHS, but I saw that and I was like, damn, I want
Oh
one.
yeah, the
I'm
French, right? The French, I saw that the French they posted about it online, and they're awesome. They've been an incredible distributor.
mhm.
ESC, yes. I mean, I know somebody that just ordered some of it, in the States. They won't ship to the States, uh, because of the tariffs, or and like, but my friend had it shipped to London, and then he's literally flying through London, and he's gonna pick it up. Like maybe somebody needs to go to France and like pack a suitcase full of VHS and bring them back. So.
That's the next talking terror trip. We're just gonna go to France and stock up on on Dolly merch because they got it. Well, because I saw that and I was like, I want a VHS of Dolly. So
I mean,
when
me
you said
too.
IFC,
Me
if
too.
IFC's got one cooking,
Dude, I was at Lionsgate, I was at a meeting at Lionsgate a couple weeks ago, and visiting an executive, a friend of mine named Brandon Hill. And Brandon worked at Cineverse and was a part of bringing the Terrifier 2 and 3 into the world, I think,
mhm.
if I'm remembering correctly. But we had met 2 years ago or something. Like, anyway, in his office, there was a VHS in the coolest VHS packaging of the Outwaters. I believe it was the Outwaters. And I was like, the packaging was so damn cool. It was like in the old Disney style, like thick plastic case,
Oh, the, the
like
clamshell
the
packaging.
clamshell, dude. I mean, and
Oh,
I was like, I was like, dude, this is the coolest, like, and I actually, I have a VCR here, and I have all these. I have some tapes I need to digitize right now. I actually have a thing on the floor from Amazon that can digitize tapes. Um, I got to do some stuff with it for another project, and I'm like, so it's very cool. Yeah. I want those too. I want them for my office. I have the blur on because my office is a mess, but like my ceilings are very low. Like it's a very like the ceiling is like right here. It's like I'm above a garage, and but I don't have any wall space to hang posters, but I wish I had wall space for all the Dolly stuff that's happening. Like there are so many people online that are making Dolly fan art. Like this incredible illustrator I've known for so long named Alex Party, like drew a Dolly design and it's the coolest. And he's sending me a high res copy of it. Like I want it as a tattoo and I want it on my wall, but I don't have any wall space. Like that Dolly poster over there is the top of it is at the ceiling. Maybe I'll turn it off here real quick. Just so I can like I don't know how to actually quickly find here we go. Like see like my ceiling ends right there. I don't have any wall space to hang anything, but I want all the Dolly stuff. I want the French poster. I don't have any wall space.
I just realized the poster is the same design as the shirt. I love it.
Oh, well, dude, this is the Fantastic Fest poster, by the way. Like, did you get one of
Oh,
those there?
oh, I did. I have it. I have all
What?
my only the mini posters I get at screenings. I have them on like the wall in my closet. So whenever I pull my clothes back, it's like just a wall of just like little mini posters I've gotten. I also have, and I meant to give Ari one of these the other day. I still have a few Dolly buttons, and I meant to give one to Ari where we'd both
Oh,
be
that's
wearing
so
one,
cool.
Oh, it's so cute.
but I totally
That's so
forgot to
cool.
give her
Yeah,
one.
it's like
But yeah.
interesting. Like, I got masks. I got masks downstairs. Like, all of it's down in my, garage. Like, all the merchandise is down there. So,
Do you still have the I'm, I feel like you of all people would have it. Do you still have the standee they had at Fantastic Fest? Because they had
I
a
mean, I
Dolly
made that.
standee.
I,
You
I
made
made,
that?
I made that. Like,
Oh,
myself and Haven Howell, our costume designer, made that in my garage. The Dolly mannequin doesn't exist anymore because, two things. Like, Max stepped back into the Dolly character for the Chicago premiere at the Music Box, like, and we needed all the wardrobe. And then my garage is exploding, and my youngest daughter is terrified of going into the garage. We have a garage fridge, they need to go down. And like they were like they wanted Dolly out of there. In fact, my youngest called her Dolly Parton. I don't know why. But like we got rid of the mannequin. I could make the mannequin again. It was like it was cool, but like I just didn't have space for it, and I needed the wardrobe back. So
fair.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I have masks and boxes down there. It's interesting, like people have been writing me a lot, like asking, and I am curious about this. Like people have asked us, like, can they die in Dolly too? Right? Like people have asked us, like, if they can buy a mask. People have asked us, like, people have offered us to, they're like, I will pay money to be like, I just want to die a gory and a glorious death. And I'm like, maybe we should actually like put that out there. I don't know if we could maybe offer just one or two, but it like people have been offering us crazy amounts of money, and I'm going, well, an independent film, maybe that's the thing you need to do, to put it together. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, I mean I see it all the time in like crowdfunding. Like, I look at a lot of like independent like crowdfunded horror and like on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and a lot of the reward perks. One of them is like die in the movie. I think that's pretty cool. So I
Yeah.
mean, whatever gets Dolly 2 and the many other Dolly films I hope we get, Dolly in Space, Dolly, Doll, like
Yeah, Dolly
all the
on a
Dolly,
ship. What's the Jason movie on the ship? Like
Jason X. Oh no,
Jason X.
Jason takes New York, Jason takes
Jason Takes
Manhattan.
Manhattan. Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny because that is actually a perfect segue into our some fan questions we got. Ari, did you have anything else before I go to fan questions?
Mm-mm.
Alrighty. We have a few fan questions from Instagram. One of which is from the Movies Podcast, another fellow DFW podcast, really cool. And they did ask, what directions should we expect for Dolly 2? Zanier, more lore, a post graduation cruise to Vancouver disguised as Manhattan. So they're also wondering if we're gonna get Dolly Takes Manhattan.
I mean, I think, when we started writing or when we wrote Dolly in 2021, we wrote a trilogy
Ooh,
then. Um, and with the hope, of going, well, if we're so lucky, like we want to know all like where Dolly comes, we want to have known from the start where Dolly comes from, why they are who they are, where this family comes from, and then how it unfolds. And so, again, Dolly starts as the thing you can make for the time and money you have, but for everything else that happens with Dolly is just doing more of what makes Dolly so perfect. It's full of heart, it's full of pain, it's nasty, it's gritty, it's grimy. It makes people laugh out loud at times. It's like, well, we're no matter what, we're just going to do all of those things more, and still maintain that tone. Just do more of it and do it in the way that I think will satisfy people relative to I can see the questions people have online and the comments and then the articles and I just keep saying, don't worry, we got you. Like, just we got you. Like, stick with us.
yeah, trust the process.
Yeah, dude, we're not, when you're making movies with no institutional support entirely on your own, you do what you can. Like, so I can't give it to you all at once, but I'll give it to you when I can.
Fair. I mean, we're both super excited for Dolly too, especially was like the watching it and then the post credit scene and even hearing like in the song, it's like I guess we'll find out in Dolly 2. I was like, what? Hell yeah. um, and we have one more fan question, and you may have already answered this, but I want to go ahead and ask it.
Sure.
Pink Fang Pictures asked, what was the most technically challenging part of making the film, and how did you negotiate that obstacle?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm trying, like, I mean, yes, I've talked about some of the challenges. This is in the credits of the film, we give it literally says, with no special thanks whatsoever to the collective mosquito population of Southeast Tennessee and poison ivy. Um, the truth is that, and again, I'm watching it in the behind the scenes footage, is that where our primary woods location was literally poison ivy city. It like the grave everywhere was poison ivy. My back at one point was covered in poison ivy because I laid down to like get perspective during a scout, and and it stayed with me for the most of the shoot. But our first AD, who's become a great friend, Sam is impervious to poison ivy. Sam has like some magic power that and I guess there are people out there who have like this magic power. They can touch poison ivy, doesn't affect them. So everywhere we went to film, like Sam had many other more important things to do than pick poison ivy out of the ground, but like Sam would literally clear the area of poison ivy. So if Sean William Scott or Fabian or Dolly needed to like be on the ground and move through the poison ivy, Sam was there pulling up poison ivy. And it's like, and he never got a rash, nothing. And I'm like, you know what? Like, technical problem, solution.
Like a superpower.
It is a superpower. It turns out
Yeah.
it's a thing, right? Like, some people cilantro tastes different to them, right? Like I
Yeah.
guess I guess it falls into the same category. So, yes, turns out like getting rid of poison ivy city in the woods, big problem, but not when you got Sam Ibach in your corner. Just call him. He lives in Knoxville. If you're in the Mid South and you need a poison ivy picker, call Sam. I got his number. I'll give it to you.
Sam, we need you to come with us when we go raid the mass grave of all the dolls.
When you go recover, yeah, what's left? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Gonna go grave robbing, but it's just a bunch of dirty ass like baby dolls. That's it's
Yep,
gonna be a
exactly.
fun adventure.
Exactly.
I actually do have another question about the sequel. Uh,
Sure.
is there anything you can say about Dolly's character evolution for the sequel?
Try to think about how to, well, I don't know if it's gonna qualify as evolution, but well, again, it's an evolution in the information that you have, but everybody wants to know where Dolly comes from and um why they are who they are, like, and we are going to show you all of that.
Awesome. I'm hyped.
Me too.
I guess, do we have any more burning questions before I go into our outro, Ariane?
Mm.
Alrighty, well, I guess to kind of close out, Rod, if you had anything you wanted to promote, anything, because I know we have Dolly 2 on the horizon, and you mentioned a trilogy, so I guess Dolly 2 and 3 are on the horizon. But outside of the Dolly verse, was there anything else that you had in the works or anything you wanted to
No, right now I'm just trying to get more Dolly into the world.
we all need more Dolly into the world, whether it's this or Dolly Parton or again Dolly 2 or 3 or Dolly in space.
True. Very true.
Oh man, we need Dolly in space, Rod. We somehow get her on a ship.
Maybe
I don't know
someday.
how it
I mean,
happens.
if we're so lucky to get to that point, it can exist. We'll
I've
we'll dream it up.
I've said this multiple times on my social medias. We don't have enough slasher movies. We never send slasher villains to space anymore. What's happened to our
Well,
country? We don't send villains to space anymore.
yeah. That's that's very funny and very true.
Like we used to send everyone up there. Hellraiser, Jason, Leprechaun. Now no one's going up there. It's sad. Anyway, thank you so much again for joining us today, Rod. It was an absolute pleasure talking terror with you and talking about the process of making Dolly, bringing Dolly into this world, and we're looking forward to the sequel. And
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm like, honored and humbled that Dolly has found so much love in the world.
of course, and do you have any social medias you want to shout out?
Well, I'm just on Instagram and Threads and Twitter, but probably on Instagram the most, like probably everybody.
Yeah, I always tell Ari I'm like I hate Twitter, but it's like my addiction. Like it's like I'm still on it regularly, even though the site is like going to hell.
It's so strange, like Twitter, it makes no sense like why there's no engagement sometimes and then why literally makes no sense. But it's like what I found is that each of those places has their own audiences and their own people that are interested and so I'm like, I'm trying to be a filmmaker and make my way and um so I'll participate in all those ecosystems as I can or when I can.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and it's also annoying whenever the most random nothing stuff goes of mine goes viral. Like I'll put out a tweet that took 2 seconds to think of, and it gets like out of nowhere like 10K likes, and then I'll promote the podcast or one of my short films, and it gets like 10 likes.
Yeah.
Just an amazing ecosystem. Which I mean, again, perfect segue. If you guys want to follow Talking Terror on Twitter or Instagram, you could follow us on Twitter at Talk Terror Pod, our Instagram Talking Terror Podcast. We also have a TikTok, Talking Terror Podcast. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my at is at Jacob at the movie. That's a movie, not movies. Twitter wouldn't let me have the extra S for whatever reason. um, my Instagram, Jacob the Harper. My Facebook, Jacob Harper, and my Letterboxd, Jacob the Harper, for all the ultra nerdy cinephiles like me who use Letterboxd and have Dolly logged like 3 times on there now. Shout out. And Ariana, your socials?
Oh yes, my Instagram is gonna be little with two e's dot imp, and then my TikTok is dot little underscore imp.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you once again, Rod, for joining us. It
Well, thank you
was
to
a,
both of you. I really appreciate it.
yeah, of course. And thank you guys for joining us for another week of Talking Terror. be sure to join us next week for more horror movie rambles and chats. Yeah. All right. Peace.